Hello everybody, this is going to serve as your section 1, chapter 3 notes, and I kind of have our agenda up on the board here. I'm going to get going into this though. And we are starting a new chapter, obviously, and this chapter is all about a feasibility analysis, which is us just looking at an opportunity and kind of saying to ourselves, is this a good idea or is this a bad idea? And then the last section talks about a business plan. We're just going to worry about 5.1 for this week, and we'll move on. Now, I know this is our third chapter, but we're going to start moving around this book quite a bit, as I feel like certain things are more important, take a little longer to get, and you need to get ahead of them in order to write a proper business plan. So we'll get right into it. Today we're going to be talking about the importance of defining a prospective business by writing a clear and concise business concept, how a feasibility study can be used to test a concept in the marketplace. So we're going to go through this as we go along, but essentially we're writing what our business does, and then we're going to try and flesh out some details with our business and say, hey, this is a good idea or not. Heart of the matter, your idea needs to be tested before you go ahead and put a lot of energy, effort, and dollars into it. Once you have gone through that testing, then you say, hey, this is a good idea. Let's develop a business plan and get a strategy for actually implementing and executing this concept or idea. So vocabulary, and as usual, vocab will go through as we go along. So don't worry about writing these down now. We're going to come back to that in a little bit later on in the week. That's just something that'll be fun. All right. A business concept is a clear and concise description of a business opportunity. Has 4 elements: the product or service, the customer, the benefit, and how we get it to the customer. So if I was to think of one on the spot, and I'm thinking about Netflix, so see if we can do this with Netflix. When Netflix first started, not the Netflix we know today, the product or service was sending out DVDs to people in the mail. You could watch it for as long as you wanted, and then you would throw it in the mail and send it back. Who were the customers? They were pretty much everyday people. They were early adopters of technology, and the benefit was that you could watch more movies than at a cheaper rate than if you went to Blockbuster or Hollywood Movies, which was how we used to get movies, or even Redbox. It was cheaper to have a Netflix subscription and just swap out movies, just toss them in the mail, send them back, so on and so forth. The distribution system was the U.S. Postal Service, and one of the things Netflix did was they had distribution centers right near or next to distribution centers for the U.S. Postal Service, making their business even more efficient. So that was the 4 parts of it. I would write that in a more concise way than the way I explained it, but that is essentially the business concept. Your business model is a flow of how the entrepreneur or the business plans to make money with their idea. And I'll show you one of these in a bit. So stop the video and let you guys talk about this. What are some great new ideas or concepts that have come out lately? And when I say lately, I mean the past 5 years. And I've got a few in my head. I'm sure you do too. But I love hearing what you guys think is the next greatest thing. So I'll pause it here and we'll come back in a bit. All right, and we're back. So hope to hear some great things, and look forward to listening to them when we talk about this in class. So next we're talking about the actual feasibility analysis, and this breaks down 7 different ways. And this is it here: the industry, the founding team, products and services, competition, analyzing the value chain, finance, marketing, consumer, and I got a slide for each one of these. We'll go through them over time. There is a ton of vocabulary to make sure you get down. If it was me, I would write this down itself. I would make sure you have all of this down, maybe even have this image somewhere in your notes so you can write notes all around it about each one. I gave you about 15 seconds to get that on before I move on. Ooh, I should have put that up there. But feasibility analysis, this is the process that allows us to test our new concept or idea. And we're going to do it in a bunch of different ways. And part of what you do when you write your business plan is you're going to be doing this. I guess I'll have to leave this up for a little bit longer now. All right. So, features and benefits. So, benefits are the things that promote or enhance the value of a product or customer service. They're the things that make it better. Whereas a feature may also make it better, but they are distinctive aspects, qualities or characteristics of a product or service. So I think of it as, if we were going to talk about the color of something, that is a feature, right? That's not a benefit. The materials, the make, or like if it's made out of aluminum or glass or whatever we're talking about, all those are different features. However, if we're talking about helping you tell time, well, that's a benefit. So, how do we get to a prototype? Lots of times we have blueprints, patents, copyrights, and some form of proprietary knowledge. Proprietary knowledge is what we know. It's something that we can secure and lock down, and if someone else wants to use it, they have to pay us for it. One of the most recent copyrights that caught me by surprise was they have copyrighted the term Eleanor for 1967 Mustangs. So if you were out there and you were on YouTube filming yourself making a 1967 Mustang and you called it an Eleanor by chance, you would potentially violate a copyright law, and the person that you infringed upon would be able to file a complaint and potentially take any money that you may have made on that concept. But that's the point of taking one's knowledge and protecting it. Now, if you just said it was a 67 Mustang, you'd be all right. But as soon as you call it Eleanor, tying it to the Gone in 60 Seconds movie, you violated a copyright, which it's just interesting. If you want, we're going to touch on copyrights, patents, and that kind of concept. But if you really want to know more, there's a law class if you're younger, although I think most of you guys in entrepreneurship are seniors at this point, so I'm sorry. But hopefully you took law anyways. Formal definition for a prototype. It's a working functional model that's used by entrepreneurs to determine what it takes to develop their products or services. And one of the craziest things to watch is SpaceX, one of Elon Musk's companies, and their prototype of their new rocket, Starship. Starship is going to be the largest rocket ever created with the most amount of thrust. And the prototype process is going on in Texas, Boca Chica, Texas, and you can watch it every day, and they have blown a bunch of prototypes up, and they show you everything. Just like I think I showed you guys him blowing up rockets that were in the air. This is them blowing up test prototypes on the rocket stand, which is pretty wild. So prototyping is that process of us going from this beginner stuff to new final product. Competition. So competition is anyone that competes in us potentially taking market share or business from us. I know I don't have a formal definition down there. Make sure you write something about competition. It's kind of an easy concept to understand. I bet most of you get it. Kroger competes with Walmart for food, right? Walmart competes with Kohl's with clothes. This is an example of a competitive matrix, and it shows you some of the benefits and features that are offered for various companies and what they offer. So, and obviously the one that made this is versatables.com. We're going to make one for our business. So, if your business is to run a 7-Eleven, then over here you might have Speedway, and then you might have Pilot, and Mobil, and Exxon, and whoever else that has gas stations. And you're going to throw them all up here. And here you're going to put maybe some of your product offerings. It might be gasoline, or slushies, or clean restrooms, or whatever it is you offer. And then you're going to compare and contrast all of your competition. This is kind of like, if you're in my marketing classes, like a SWOT analysis, but it's just focused on who you compete with. And something like this is how you make your product or your business plan stand out. Because just like you guys don't want to write it, some of these people really don't want to read it. They want to read good writing, but really they want to see what you're capable of doing. So we'll come back to that later on. We're actually going to do an assignment on that for our projects later this week. Okay, there's another example on page 110 of your book for future reference. All right, had to do a little cut in, saw a couple mistakes, but I'm back now, and we're talking about finance. And finance is all about revenue coming in to make a business profitable, because the whole point of a business is to do what? Right. Hopefully, someone said, make money. Profit is rarely instantaneous in starting a business. You have some kind of startup money that goes into getting going. Does anyone know how long Amazon functioned without making any money? Or Twitter? Amazon went 14 years losing money as it invested every penny that it got back into the business to make it the behemoth that it is today. Twitter finally turned a profit in 2018, and it took massive changes to get that company to where it is finally profitable on a regular basis. Value chain. So how do we get whatever we're doing into the hands of the consumer? And there are so many different ways to go about this. Do we have a distribution that goes, do we just make the product and sell it to a distributor and let them figure it out? Do we sell it directly to the retailer? Are we the distributor? And then do we just go directly to the consumer? All of these business models, they work. They just, depending on what your focus is as a company, where you have money to grow, and how you want to go about it. But that is the value chain from that perspective of getting it to the hands of the end user. So that's the formal definition, the distribution channel through which a product or service flows from the maker to the end user. All right. The broadest level of feasibility analysis looks at the industry in which the business will operate. So if you think of a funnel, right, and as we go into more and more details about the business, we go farther down the funnel. At the very tippy top of the funnel is the industry. What is the industry outlook? Is the industry going to grow? Is it going to shrink? Do we want to enter a shrinking industry? Well, if we know that we have the best product and we can kick a bunch of people out, sure, maybe we do. But if we're going into a crowded marketplace and there's, perfect competition like our jeans with the jeans market, are we going to make a better pair of jeans that anyone's going to notice? It's going to be a lot harder, that's for sure. But maybe we can build up that brand over time. But that jeans market is huge, right? So there's a positive side to that. There's a lot of opportunities for new entrants. Or if we were going to start an oil company and we were going to try and, drill for oil, there's a ton of startup cash there. It is a large industry. Is it shrinking? Hard to say. I don't exactly know. I wouldn't want to start a coal company right now. Coal is pretty much going out of business. That industry is shrinking very rapidly. So industry is a group of businesses with a common interest. Target customers. And here we are back at marketing. So the critical part of your feasibility analysis is testing customers to measure interest and identify them. Who is going to buy my product? And in marketing, we call that target market. And we look at these 5 characteristics of marketing: geographics, sociographics, demographics, behavioral, and psychographics. All these factors help us to identify who our customer is and who actually is most likely to buy it. So the founding team. And this is really fun when you get to do your project. You get to do this where who would be the CEO, what have they done, what's their profile like, and then who are the other players on the team. Because when you actually start a business, you're going to need to put people together that have different skill sets in order to maximize the what people are doing. And a lot of times it kind of falls into place because people have different skill sets and different things they enjoy. Someone who's financially driven and good with numbers tends to fall into that role. And someone that's good with people and getting people rallied and being productive and commanding and leading, they tend to be the CEO. And then you'll have your technology person who's obsessed with technology, and they're amazing. And then you might have a great marketing person. All these little letters on the executive team, they all have different meanings, obviously. Chief Executive Officer for CEO, Chief Financial Officer for the person that's in charge of finance, Chief Technological Officer for someone that's in charge of technology, and then Chief Marketing Officer. And we are coming to the end here, but you're going to do this as well for your paper. So this is another look at feasibility analysis. These are our various segments that we went over today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. And we took the business concept. We talked about these. And later on, we're going to do our own feasibility analysis. So I think we're coming to the end. So a business model is a description of how entrepreneurs plan to make money with their business concepts. And there are a ton of different business models, different ways to go about doing this. Here is one I found in particular, and if it looks familiar in the way it's mapped out, that's a good thing. Call that intentional. So on the left, who are our key partners? And for Twitter, it's their search vendors and device vendors and media companies and mobile operators. Their resources, it's this twitter.com platform. Their activities that they're doing, they're constantly developing that platform. And what is their value prop? What do they offer? They're staying connected, news and events, targeted marketing, and then Twitter apps and their channels, right? How they get the product into the customer's hands, right? Twitter API, mobile, desktop, website, so on and so forth. And then who are their customer segments? Right here. Revenue streams and cost streams at the bottom. And it kind of details, you get this awesome snapshot. This is what the business model looks like. So that ends our section. If you have any questions, ask. We're starting to get more into business, and I like it. And yeah, it's going to be fun. We got a fun week. All right. Have a good one. We'll do another section next week, I believe. And yeah, only 4 days this week. Kind of nice. So on that note, I'm shutting this off. Have a good one.